Oh,
Hey, what's up, guys? Oh, I gotta put my shades on. Shoot. Oh,
there it is. There it is. Hey, happy Father's Day, everybody out there, by the way.
that's
Hey,
right.
and also happy birthday to Antonio Gates, by the way, the GOAT.
Woo!
He is the GOAT, one of the best of all time, still leads the NFL for the tight end position, the amount of touchdowns that he's had in his career.
Yes,
Stud.
sir. Yes, sir.
But we got a good show today, guys. Andrew should be coming in here a little bit shortly. He's kind of a little bit behind, so we just decided to rip it and go.
Yep.
So either which way, guys, let's get into it. Talk about training camp. Let's talk about some Charger news. Throw out your questions and everything. But let's get it.
Let's
Bolt
go.
Bros. Let's
go. Woo!
You. Here we are.
Yeah. All right,
But-
we out here.
We out here.
Actually,
What
that's
up,
Mark.
guys?
That's Mark Rebele. He does lives on Sundays now. It's pretty dope, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff is funny, man. Like
Yeah.
I used to watch it all the time on Sunday, his Sunday church stream or whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is, but that
Yep.
guy just could throw things out so quickly and
Right?
create beats and create like songs so quickly. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's awesome, man. So
He just puts it out there, just like us. He
Yeah,
just
that's
puts
right.
it out there, man. Who
throw it
cares?
out there. We're
Yeah.
doing it live. No.
Do it live.
Oh man. So Andrew should be coming on here pretty shortly. Kind of a conflict of schedules of things that all of a sudden came around. So we'll be just chatting. He'll probably jump on here at some point. But since it is Sunday, I did have a meme that I saw that I thought was kind of funny. I shared it on my Facebook. I don't know if you guys didn't even follow me on Facebook or anything like that, but I thought that one was pretty funny. Here you go. Can the NFL season be here already? He looks like he's praying for that dang season to start up.
Shoot.
It's I can't wait, man. I'm watching past games right now, analyzing past games, where it went right, where it went wrong, and like, gosh, can it just get here sooner? I mean, most people think that the season starts when, like the first game of the season starts, I guess.
Yeah.
Preseason obviously is kind of one thing, but I look at it training camp and we're almost a month out from that point.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but it's exciting. I think Justin Herbert even dropped. I think they're going to be reporting on July 26th. So, so I'm assuming that same weekend will be when the training camp opens for the Chargers. I believe we will all be there. So I cannot wait for that to happen. So,
Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be great. And you're right. I think for us, training camp is like the start of the official season for us because I mean, obviously, we're out here in. I live in LA, so
Yep.
I'm just gonna go to the training camp days and just hang out.
Yeah.
Just hanging around.
It's just hanging around. It's the best. I mean, I don't know, man. Last year was a different level of being at the training camp. It was awesome meeting people there. Awesome meeting all the individuals from other podcasts to, the fandom and everything like that. All the crews and everything. I mean, it's just a whole new level, man. And I really hope that there's going to be a great turnout like it was last year for this year. And to be honest, we should all be pretty excited about this team this year. So fun. I can't wait. I can't wait.
And I know last year was kind of a disappointment, stuff like that because of how many injuries we had and failing in the first round in the playoffs and stuff. But look, bottom line is we have the exact same team as we had from last year. Pretty much. There's not much has changed. We had there's some of our players have gone to other teams or whatever, but they weren't the ones that were major to the excitement from last year. So we still have that freaking contending team, the playoff contending team right now, and we're on a rise right now. So dude, we should be excited.
Amen to that. I mean, the one thing is that we kind of in a sense just ran it back with the same crew, but just added just some extra pieces too through the draft. Right. So Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa is back. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams is back. Justin Herbert is hypothetically very healthy now at this point. You're starting to have Kellen Moore as a new offensive coordinator. No more Joe Lombardi. Technically, if you think about it, we just kind of retooled things ran it back with the same players, added QJ Davis. We added, Diane Henley. I cannot talk for some reason. We added a lot more guys to this team to just build more strength around our team and more depth all around. So there's kind of a level of like, hey, it's not the flashy signings, spending all the crazy money like we did last year, but this season could be great. It could be a very, very good season. So really, my opinion, we just got to stay healthy. We got to stay healthy. That's the big thing for us. And every single dang year, stay healthy, man. And then Eric Kendricks too. That's a great addition too.
That was a huge addition. Yeah.
Another side of it too. So I'm excited. I'm ready for this season. And I think the sky is the limit for this team. And once again, we can't judge what 2022 teams that we're playing against this year are the same as 2023 season too.
Right.
Could be totally different for every team. Things change and things adjust and everything too. So,
well, and that's the thing too, is like the Vikings kind of got decimated. Like a lot of their players are gone except for Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. Seemingly, like they stayed, but then a lot of everything else just kind of shifted away. And I'm like, oh, are the Vikings gonna be that big of a contender this year? It's like,
who knows?
That could be actually a very good game to go to, because like we could win and beat that game.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we don't really know what it's going to be like for them this year. And that's could be for a lot of people. I mean, I keep hearing these little hype things about the Packers, and Jordan Love is looking like a great quarterback, just as good as Aaron Rodgers. Like, all right, man, I think that's a little bit like excessive to say that.
That's a lot of hype there.
That's a lot of hype. That's a lot of hype, dude. So,
but that's, I mean,
who knows?
Business.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Kermit the Frog over here, dude.
Got the pinky out and everything. Well, that's none of my business.
But either which way, I'm excited about training camp. That's when the season starts for me. I think that really helps us for a podcast too. We have tons of content to talk about.
Yep.
But for the moment, training camp just finished up. Their short mandatory training camp just ended. Let's talk a little bit about training camp. What are your guys' thoughts? What are some things that you guys saw from training camp and highlights from training camp? I know Herbert is obviously the highlight, to where he's able to go out there and fully practice. Awesome to see him and see some of the throws that he made. I mean, he is slanging that ball, slanging. There's multiple touchies about to be happening with that arm. Look at that golden arm right there.
All the touchies. All the
touchies. And by the way, I know we've already talked about this, but even with his throwing angle right there from his arm in this picture, it's a little bit more vertical now that he's starting to throw a little bit higher up. So which is good.
Yeah.
And
maybe it's easier on the shoulder.
How that goes for him. Yeah. Throughout the season, that'd be great. I mean, once again, he got a lot of balls batted down at the line, which should not be happening with a quarterback his size.
Yeah.
And so these sidearm throws are great for situational, but not for every time.
Yeah, exactly. And like the cool thing about like changing his throwing arm position or whatever, like it could prevent a lot less batted passes for sure, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, because like, obviously I don't know how many batted passes he had last year. Do we have that stat anywhere?
Shoot, I didn't even look around for that, but I swear it was at least seemed like a couple of them in a game. Especially after his injury too. Especially his rib injury, I should say.
Yeah.
And obviously if anybody's had any rib injuries or anything in their time in their life, it nags at your motion, your twisting of your torso. Any little bit, man. Oh gosh, it just nags away.
It's just like it's worse than like a back injury in a lot of ways,
Yep.
Because like you realize how much your back is important after you get it hurt, because you're like, oh, I can't like barely move, but a ribs, you can barely talk, you can't even really like freaking can't laugh, you gotta be just like you can't do anything, it's just like
Yep. Well, I could see that Justin Herbert, he had about tied for the first in the league with Josh Allen at 12, and this was in beginning of November. So if he was number one at some point, he probably ended close to the top 5 in batted passes from last year. So it's not a good stat to have. And so I think that's one thing that Kellen Moore really did a good job. And I think actually Gold Teeth Poo Productions. Thanks for the comment, by the way, man. And yeah, I feel good about Kellen running this offense. Let's go. And I agree, man. I mean, that's things that I like seeing, that Kellen Moore is even noticing little things like that of like, hey, you need to get a little bit more of a vertical upwards throwing motion versus these sidearm type throws. It's harming you for these batted passes of the line. Doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. At a guy that's 6'6", 6'7", does not make sense to have that.
Exactly.
As a problem. So,
yeah, exactly. Well, we got a good comment here from Aether. He talked about Herbert here, actually. So he has bad news for us, baby.
Oh no,
Chargers fans about the Herbo deal. The NFLPA doesn't care about the Bolts, and Spanos Herbert will get this bag. And the markets to force trade if they did it for Mahomes and Herbert too. Oof. So basically, what it sounds like he's really saying is that the NFLPA is forcing a massive deal for Herbert, where like they're not going to accept anything less than $50 million a year probably for Herbert, and so it's like and of course that's why like we probably can't have a team friendly deal, I guess, with him. So, Oy.
Yep. And the thing about it is, like, I'll say this. Justin Herbert has done quite a bit records-wise in the NFL and done a great job of being a top quarterback at this point. Now, when you start kind of looking at other quarterbacks that have signed deals, like Lamar Jackson has a current average year of $52 million. Jalen Hurts, $51 million. Aaron Rodgers, $50.2 million. Russell Wilson, $49 million. Kyler Murray, $46 million. Josh Allen at $43 million. Patrick Mahomes, $45 million. Deshaun Watson, $46 million. There's a lot of guys there that, like, Jalen Hurts has gotten to a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers has won a Super Bowl. Russell Wilson has gotten to the Super Bowl and won one. Yeah. But you got Kyler Murray there at 46 is the top 5 total average per year deal. Where are you putting him at? Do you feel like he would be at the Aaron Rodgers $50 million, or would he be at a Lamar Jackson $52 million? Will be at a Jalen Hurts $51 million?
Right.
Like average per year deal. It's going to be interesting to see where it ends up going with him. And by the way, there was a lot of like fib out there, clickbait about him. That he's possibly going to do a hold in or whatnot. Justin Herbert himself said, hey, as a quarterback, I'm obligated to be with my team and work with my team. And be there. So I don't think he really is going to do that. He loves football too much. He has 2 years of contract with the team currently right now. I don't think it's a stressor. I think it'd be a stressor next year if he doesn't have a contract, but I don't think it could be this year. But I think it's all contingent on what Joe Burrow's contract looks like, and they're going to probably correlate a little bit on what Justin Herbert's contract gets done. But maybe we'll get it done before camp, and it doesn't even become a topic of discussion, because you don't want to sit there and screw us over at all for the season and not have Justin Herbert out there practicing. So so we'll see kind of what happens with the contract. We'll see what happens here. So, but I'll say this: I love watching the highlights that Justin Herbert's doing in training camp. I mean, we have such a small scope of what we're looking at, but man, he is throwing some lasers to Williams, to Allen. Pokey Wilson has been looking good too, man. He's been catching. When he's wearing 83, it reminds me of Tyron Johnson too.
Yeah.
And like, it just gives me that like 2020 kind of feeling again, where I'm like, oh man, he's going to go deep, which basically that's kind of what was happening, or at least that's what Kellen Moore, Quentin Johnston, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, they're all saying he's just dropping bombs. They're going to be slinging it all over the field. And I can't wait.
What's up, guys? Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. There it is.
Awesome. Sorry, guys. I real quick, I went to the chiropractor, and oh my God, they used me like a guinea pig, like 30 more minutes, and I had no idea. Shot me with a bunch of lasers. I'm like, am I going to develop some superpowers here soon? Or what's the situation?
About to be a Terminator, dude.
I was like, oh my God, I couldn't even believe it. I was literally there almost 40 minutes. I did the math. I was like, what in the hell? Anyhow, so sorry about that, guys.
That's funny. Well, I was going to say this, though, too, about Justin Herbert. I mean, actually, I think in a lot of ways, like a quarterback needs to be paid more playing here in LA, and just Rams or whatever. It's just because the cost of living, number one, and then number two because of taxes. Shoot.
Yep.
Like I was just thinking half of his money is gonna go to freaking to the government anyways. So hey, okay, so all right, let's pay him $50 million because he's really only gonna pocket 25, which absolutely sucks, because holy smokes, man. So I don't know, but yeah, Justin Herbert's gonna be good. I'm not really worried that he's not gonna be playing for the team, because he's got to be. He's got to be here. I mean, if they honestly, I feel like this too. I've seen a couple of memes or people talking about it on Twitter and stuff. They're saying, look, if Justin Herbert can't get signed to the Chargers, half the fan base is going to leave as well. Yeah, so we already are struggling to fill a stadium up itself. Yeah. So yeah, that's not going to be good. So
he ain't going nowhere.
Can't let a guy like that walk.
Yeah, you got to remember too, though, guys. And Matt Money Smith talked about this on Chargers Weekly, right? You got to remember, Joe Burrow was actually drafted before Justin Herbert, and he hasn't been extended either. So you have to remember these agents are, look, they got their egos as well too. They're getting paid as well, so they use these guys as a chip for them to say, okay, cool. Well, Joe Burrow, he went to a Super Bowl. I got Justin Herbert more money. I'm that good of an agent, right? So there's a money aspect to it as well, and a lot of it's out of their control as well.
Man, your camera's all wigging out here, bro.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. I'm not sure what happened there. It's kind of crazy. That's really weird. Okay, sorry guys, but you guys can hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you good. Yeah.
Okay, but so there's that money aspect of it as well. I mean, even Austin Eckler talked about it quite a bit, right? He knows that entire fan base. I mean, all the running backs are getting screwed right now in the NFL. And it is what it is, right? So,
exactly.
But again, so, and by the way, I just have to say one thing, and then I'll stop. I get so annoyed with the media making and overhyping all this stuff. They were talking about Justin Herbert doing a hold-in thing. I'm not sure if you guys already talked about that. I was setting up.
No, we haven't yet. But
yeah. And I sat there and I'm like, man. It's annoying to me that they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna hold in just like Derwin James did. It would hurt the offense if it happened that way. But again, he's under contract for 2 more years. I just don't see him doing that. He's such a team player. I just don't see him being that guy. But who knows, right? I think it's going to boil down to Joe Burrow. As soon as Joe Burrow hits, I think, we go. But, who knows? Are they wanting a 4-year contract, 3-year contract? I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah. And that's the thing about, that whole Austin Eckler thing, and that's a whole nother topic. It's just media started blowing it up, acting like he wasn't wanting to be there. The guy basically wants to be there. He even said before all this stuff happened, hey, I got 1-year obligation still with him. I'm just going out there to go look around. That's all it is. And the guy just was doing his due diligence just to make sure he's getting enough value for himself. And he even said, hey, I'm appreciative that the Chargers threw out some extra incentives for me to play here. Right. And he's like, they didn't need to do that, but they did it. And that's great to see. And I think it does go back to Melvin Ingram when he ended up having his last year with the Chargers. They did something very similar for him too. Yeah, they just gave him extra incentives and everything like that, kind of make him happy and everything, and move on from there. So I thought it was interesting about Aether's comment there about the predictions for Burrow.
Yep,
and then I think it was, I believe Burrow will second, because he has the Super Bowl trip. So I think his prediction. 6 years, $322 million, 183 guaranteed. Burrow have $342 million, 192 guaranteed. So I'm assuming the second one is for Burrow, which puts him at about $68 million on average per year for that type of contract, which is blowing the actual market right now out of the water for quarterbacks. So I don't think they would do something like that. A 6-year, $322 million makes sense for Burrow. I feel like Justin Herbert should probably be at the $50 million mark, in my opinion.
Yeah, $50 million makes sense to me.
Yep. Should be right at the $50 million mark.
This is a really good little comment here. Gold Teeth. I don't know if you talked about this.
Yeah.
You did. I'm going to add one little caveat to it. You probably already did talk about it. Okay, so sorry, guys. The one thing that I will say that I watched the entire season over. Have you seen the entire season yet, James? All last week I watched.
Not yet. I got to watch the Niner game and everything too. So I've skipped through some games, and I'm like, yeah, I'll pass that Jaguar game early on. Nah, I'm good.
I watched the Jaguar game too. I watched the playoff game too. I mean, it was torturous. I'm telling you that much right now. But let me say this: with Kellen Moore, okay, they've been. So I listened to Rashawn Slater. I listened to Brand Staley. I listened to Justin Herbert. I listened to Mike Williams. Austin Eckler. All of them have kind of said the same thing about this man right here. He says essentially they're keeping things simple.
Yep.
But they're also making adjustments. Joe Lombardi, that's what made him so bad. He did not have a good game plan going into any game.
Yep.
It would work occasionally. Sometimes you'd start out fast, then we'd start out slow. But we never adjusted to what they were doing defensively against us. This man right here, Kellen Moore, is going to have a good game plan right out of the gate. We all know the first probably 20 plays are scripted, or at least 10 plays are 100% scripted. It's they're all scripted plays, but that's 100% coaching, and that coach being ready for the defense. But secondarily, from there, you just switch it up. All right, they're running 5-man fronts. They're running light boxes. They're running heavy boxes. Okay, let's use GT counters, zone reads, and that's where he is valuable. Joe Lombardi never did any of that, and he was never aggressively attacking what they did defensively and making those gaps easy. Yeah. Again, Herbert had to be perfect every game to win, because Joe Lombardi never helped him make his job easy. And that's my biggest frustration with Joe Lombardi. But Kellen Moore, man, he's going to be great. He's going to – I'm excited, dude. I cannot wait. I just think he's going to be so good. So great comment. I wanted to throw that out there.
I think the one thing they also said about Kellen Moore is that he's going to simplify it, but also keep them confused on what we're
guessing.
doing.
Yes.
And so keep them guessing. So Kellen Moore is going to create a lot of change in this offense, and I'm looking so very much forward. We talked a lot about, some of the wide receivers already chatting about it and how we're going to throw the ball deep. Yeah. We're just going to be able to be that team that is, to be honest, very, very deadly all around with the tools that they have on the offense, much more than the Dallas Cowboys. We'll chat about that a little bit later on, and some of those stats that we kind of grew up. We kind of talked on a little bit. But I do want to kind of talk a little bit about the defense too.
We need to. Yep.
The defense, Derwin James with his one-handed pick versus Keenan Allen.
Let me see if I can pull that one up for us.
That was a killer catch. Apparently Mark Webb also.
My bad. My bad.
Hey.
Press the wrong button.
We're live. Hey, this is between two beards right here, guys. This is it.
Oh, that's right.
Exactly.
Hey, we need to get you some peach fuzz going there, bro.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
sorry
even
about
to say the defense, Michael Davis also is having a very strong camp too so far. So
that guy's looking good.
And contract year for him too. So we even saw an interview with him that he had with Terrell Owens, was talking about kind of what he does and everything like that, and where he's gone from BYU as an undrafted guy and how he got to this point. That's a feel-good story to where he's gotten to. And crazy, he was a wide receiver, basically converted to a cornerback, and he's still figuring out the job right now and how to be a quarterback. So Deion Henley, pick six in camp also. I was even saying that is Kenneth Murray's job in trouble because Deion Henley's starting to kind of get bigger and better and everything too. So, that's a talking point in my opinion of where is Kenneth Murray going to have his job for most of the season? Could he lose his job to a younger guy?
Right.
We didn't pick up his 5th-year contract for a reason, right?
Yeah, I think bottom line, Kenneth Murray has to prove something. Derwin James actually talked about that. He said, "Yeah, we just leave that stuff. That's the box conversation, but we leave that off the field, right? It's money will come." And he goes, Derwin James essentially said to Kenneth Murray, "Hey, look, man, it's your opportunity to shine, and you got to go out and play and make it happen, and the money will come." So it's a really good point. Deion Henley's a special player. I think that guy could be. He's going to be a really good linebacker for a long time for us, for sure.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, I'm excited about him. I think he's got some really good things going on there. Yeah, that's that pick right there. Give me that ball. Number 3, baby. Actually, I got his old jersey on right now, the 33. But, But man, it's great to see. Derwin's one of those guys that man,
best safety in the league.
Yeah, best safety in the league. And actually, PFF even put that out there about some of our players who are some of our top players in the league, and how many guys that we have on PFF now that are ranked extremely high. And they actually put Derwin James as the number 1 safety in the league. Here you go. No surprise. Justin Herbert, number 5 in the league. Eckler, number 9. You could say that, I guess, because I still have a hard time of him saying he's really, truly a running back. Rashawn Slater, number 9. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah. I mean, he's probably one of the best left tackles in my opinion, not just because he's a Charger, but he's an absolute stud and difference maker.
He's a I feel like the reason why they put him at 9 is because let's be honest, sports fans kind of have a short-term memory when it comes to how good a player is. Slater, he's definitely a Pro Bowl offensive tackle.
Oh, absolutely.
And so we'll if he stays out there and stays healthy and stuff like that, that's easily top 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like J.C. Jackson last year was rated as a top cornerback in the league. Obviously he's injured now and he's trying to find his way back, which is I think a very, very good sign of him coming back this season and hopefully early in the season. Yeah, and him to come back as Mr. INT. So I mean that's another guy that's not on this list, but then you could even say Khalil Mack not being on that list for top 10 too. Yeah. Right. But you have seen some lists where he is top 10 with Joey Bosa too. So this team's got talent. We talk about it year after year. Got to stay healthy. Got to stay healthy. And so hopefully that changes up this year. Hopefully we end up, hopefully we end up staying healthy, because I think if we stay healthy, the sky is the limit for this team. Absolutely, 100%. The sky is the limit for this team. So,
this is a good question by Willie. Gerald Everett, starting tight end. Yes, he is a starting tight end for sure, and he will be. By the way, I think my camera's glitching out because I got gamma rays. Check that out, man. I must be developing superpowers or something right now. Literally, they hit with these crazy lasers. I'm like, okay, dude, am I gonna be the Incredible Hulk here pretty soon? What's the deal?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Andrew, my baby. Okay. This is my question. To be very honest, if you're working for the NFLPA and Representative Turbo, are you going to make sure he gets money, or tell him to take a cut? Man, he's going to get paid, dude. He's going to get his money, right? Yep. Again, I really think it's only going to boil down to their. Here's the thing: it's not just Herbert, right? It's also his agent, right? His agent's probably going to be, well, let's see if Burrow gets signed. Do you want to sign him before Burrow, or do you want Burrow to get signed and then we go after Burrow, right? Technically, you probably want to sign Herbert first and then Burrow, because Burrow will probably get paid more money. But the agent might want to wait for Burrow to get signed so he can try and get more money for Herbert. So again, there's politics involved in this as well, too, folks, right? So it's not just a conversation around, what they want, what they don't. Hey, I'm going to try and plug and unplug my camera again one more time. Hold on just a second.
Sounds good.
I'll drop off for 2 seconds here.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing and a topic about, where this contract and when this contract will end up being signed. But, that's a crazy situation here. I did want to kind of bring up Larry Castros. He's the starter for our D-line. I mean, it's going to be Bash, and it's going to be, Austin Johnson, Morgan Fox.
And then
those are going to be the guys pretty much.
Yep.
And then obviously you got Bosa, you got Mack as a weak side and a strong side linebacker too. So pretty much those are our line guys. I don't think there's going to be any adjustment at all on that too. So
no.
Homeboy that we talked a lot about, undrafted fella
Gerard Clark.
Gerard Clark, yeah. I was going to say Davis. I was like, it's not that. He'll definitely fill in when he needs to. Maybe be a rotational guy or something like that. Get a snap here and there, first down, second down, maybe. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. But
he's a run stopping specialist. That's kind of his gig, right? He's the big fat. So now I had a thought about him the other day. Because remember when he went into camp, he was a lot heavier at camp than I think a lot of people expected. He showed up he was probably 350. Yeah. And I think he was listed at 330 maybe. And I thought about this a lot. I thought, you know what that's like? That's like going to a job interview and showing up without a suit, or, and because you're not putting your best foot forward, right? Because you showed up heavy, and you didn't perform well. He actually didn't perform well. His footwork was pretty bad, and he had some strong problems. But Brandon Staley did talk about the undrafted free agents. So he's like, he in his last interview, he said, guys, you're going to be really surprised with how great some of these undrafted free agents are going to show. I think Gerard Clark is one of them. Again, AJ Finley, I think, is going to be good. I think there's 2 cornerbacks or 2 defensive back spots that could be taken.
Right.
So, again, you guys know the ones I like. I did that video on it last week. But, yeah, I think our defense – yeah, go ahead. I got some thoughts on the defense as well, too, GT.
That's the second time we've heard that about our undrafted free agents, guys.
Yeah,
like Khalil Mack talked about it too. I mean, there's a lot of hype going on with these undrafted free agents. So it's exciting to be able to see that we're going to have more youth that we did not draft, but guys that we just signed for cheaper base contracts that could be difference makers. So, I mean, even to throw out Scott Matlock there too. Like, it's interesting to see where he ends up kind of going. I mean, he's going to take souls. So let's go. Let's go.
Yep.
So I will say this, GTR man. I was thinking a lot about this as far as like the defense in the NFL is concerned. Again, I watched all these games over and over again. We pretty much run the same damn plays over and over again, right? Yeah. It's not much different. And defense is pretty much bend, don't break. It's 2 high safety. Well, what does that mean? 2 safeties, usually deep. Now, again, I think Derwin James should do a little more edge rushing because he gets the quarterback a lot, like over 30% of the time. So if he blitzes, he's, usually getting at least some form of pressure on the quarterback. So it really boils down to how are we going to switch things up. And again, we go back to Derek Ainsley. We talked about him last week. He said, yeah, we're not changing much. I guess a good point, right? Because the defense is pretty much the same. The difference is staying healthy and executing. But I will say this. I do think there's going to be more rotation. I could see more rotation. And I'll give you a good example. Jasir Taylor and Asante Samuel. Jasir Taylor is probably a more physical corner than Asante Samuel. He's better at the run. So maybe if the team thinks that they're going to get more running plays coming at us, they might use Jasir Taylor in the slot, and then Asante Samuel will sit out if they're both healthy. So they may do more rotational type things, or I just can see that happening a little more because, again, if you can rotate people correctly, you'll eliminate injuries as well. And I think that's a big thing that we didn't really do as well, too. So,
and just staying on this theme of rotational, actually, Pablo. By the way, my friend, hey, have a good time out in Mammoth, dude. That's awesome that they're even still snowboarding in the middle of June, by the way.
I'm like, what? How's there still snow out there?
Yeah, I mean, they got dumped on. Dude. But crazy to see that. So, but yeah, Pablo, question for me. What do you think is more likely to have a bigger impact playing linebacker next to Kendricks, Henley or Murray? I think it's a rotational situation. Yeah. And I think that the leash is short for Murray, in my opinion. We didn't pick up his 5th-year contract for a reason. Henley is showing out, at least from what we're briefly just seeing through a small scope. I think this is going to be a battle that's going to be tested quite a bit in training camp. So, I mean, obviously having a guy like Eric Kendricks, who's been in the league for a long time, high-level based player, it's going to benefit both of them heavily. And you would hope having a guy that's going to be your rock with Eric, and then having 2 guys trying to play next to him really elevates both of their games. So the hopes is the competition level gets higher and higher and higher for both of those guys, and they can learn a lot from Eric Kendricks. So that's why you bring in guys like that.
Well, I think where you could use Deion Henley over like Murray, if you said, okay, let's say we're playing the Chiefs.
Yeah. And
you want to put him on Kelsey or put him on somebody to do a little more specific coverage. That might be he might get more playing time on a game like that because he's better at that, particular game plan. So I could see that as well too. By the way, Morgan Fox, I think, man, he had such a great season. Nick Williams, though, is a straight up beast. He is dog, dude. I'm telling you.
Oh.
I'm hyped on him as well, man. Here's the one thing I will say. I had this other thought when I was watching the defense. We don't play nasty for the Chargers. We're a little like finessey. That's not the right word. Finessey. That's not even a word. That's not even a word, guys. again, superpowers are still developing. But here's the thing. We kind of, I don't know how the word is. We don't have that dog that's just like firing people up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we kind of need that. And it's been frustrating for me to see, because I was watching the games. I'm like, man, we're just kind of out there to kind of going through the motions. And it's like, no, we need some dude to step up and say, you need to play nasty. You need to hit that guy, put him on the ground, you know, and let people know if you're going to run the ball, you're going to get punished, right?
Yep.
You're going to get hose slapped. Don't make me ball this. You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing is, though, like I always go back to one of my favorite defenses for the Chargers in the mid 2000s, when you had basically like, you know, lights out. You had basically like Cromartie. You had basically like all these dudes out there.
Quentin Jammer.
Yeah, Quentin Jammer.
I love Quentin Jammer. He was the best.
Dude, just guys that were out there just, dude, making it happen. Luis Castillo, you know, going out there. Igor Olshansky. Like Jamal Williams.
The Wall.
Yeah,
Jamal.
dude,
Jamal. Yeah.
You had these guys, and I remember being in the stadium at Qualcomm and just having people chant, "You can't run" on us.
Yeah.
Like, and it's
so
like,
good.
Dude, and we were one of the best. And actually, we were some of the top defenses in this league. And it's like, we need to be able to get that swag back. Like, to be honest, at this point, we would love to have a first, you know, rated defense, but I think at this point I'm content with just getting a top 20 run defense.
Yeah, for sure.
And then where we've been at for our pass defense. Like, we could just do that. That's great. That'll be massive change for our season all around. So I'm looking forward to be able to seeing a very, very different type of defense this year. Once again, health is everything for this team.
100%.
Health is everything for this
100%.
team.
Yeah, so, I hope that we can chant, "You can't run," not we can't run, because that was our chant basically last year. Like, like, you know, how many rushing yards did we get? Like a playoff game, I think like 50, less than 50.
Awful.
Yeah,
we played perfectly into the Jaguars' strengths. That's pretty much what it was, and
we didn't adjust anything.
Right to our weaknesses, basically.
Yep.
So,
yep. You don't win like that in the NFL. And
nope,
I think we were even lucky to have as many wins as we had with Joe Lombardi running on our offense. I mean, Herbert carried the team with fractured rib cartilages. And I mean, come on, dude. Like, you're throwing the ball to Michael Band. He's in the XFL right now, you know, and, you know, anyways. So this is a good question. By the way, a lot of people were like, Pokey, watch my undrafted free agent video. I don't know if you have seen that already, Marcus, but I did talk about this quite a bit. I think he needs to be a special teams guy. Maybe he's like a gunner. Yeah. Maybe think Justin Taylor might actually start playing defense more frequently, so they'll probably take him off special teams. Yeah. I mean, they could. Who knows, right?
Right.
But if he comes out there and does well in special teams, then he can definitely get scooped up and, you know, maybe make the 53-man roster, be the deep threat guy. But you never know, right? It's going to boil down to special teams as well.
Well, and for him, it's all special teams for him. Any of these undrafted free agent guys are not saying, hey, I'm here to be the number one in whatever position that they're playing. Right. They're looking to find a way through special teams, punt returner, kick returner, backup kind of guy, which I think Pokey would be a good position for that. Small guy, 4.5 kind of speed. And he's been catching some high point balls in camp that are really exciting to see. You know, you got to love seeing a guy like that could just find a way to be able to use his speed, use his size, find a way to be able to differentiate himself in this team or on this team somewhere or another. The thing about it is Brandon Staley even talked about it. He said, hey, look, like there's going to be some tough cuts for us this year.
Big time. Yep.
And we can't go too heavy on the wide receiver position because right now we have about 6 guys that are like locks in the wide receiver position. We can't be a team that holds 8 wide receivers or whatever it might be, because that's taking up a lot of your roster spots. So Pokey probably will be one of those guys that's kind of on the bubble. I think Jalen Guyton has to find a way to be able to show that he's healthy too. That's where it could get a little shaky for the wide receiver position, because I mean, you got to think Williams, Allen, QJ, Davis, Guyton, Palmer. Like, that's 6 guys right there.
Well, no, and then you still got Everett, and then you got Austin Eckler, and then you got Donald Parham. Dude, that's a loaded room. And so, well, I mean, the tight end room's obviously different, but that's just a lot of people to distribute the ball to, man. You know what? And Pokey, dude, he's good. Now, one thing I will say, that I didn't pick Pokey as a guy that can make the team just because the wide receiver room is so stacked.
Yep.
But he's a tall guy, man. He's like 6 foot, I believe. He's I think he's almost 180, something like that. So he's a bigger dude, right? And so, look, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine for sure, right? So, I think there's a lot to be said about him, So, again, it's going to boil down to camp. Now, we all know the idea of the offense, but that offense now is going to be created now, and then camp starts up. That's when we're going to really start seeing the offense. And obviously, Kellen Moore's not going to tip his cap and show everything all at once, but he's building the offensive playbook a little deeper and wider, right? Because what he saw in minicamp and OTAs, right? So, okay, I like this, I like that, 12 personnel, 11 personnel. One other thing I would say about Justin Herbert, I just had this thought. I wanted to, when we were prepping for this video, I wanted to, there we go. I wanted to say something about Justin Herbert. I want to see him take control of the offense more, right? And what I mean by that is, let's say we run 12 personnel, and he could go up to the line. They know it's a blitz, and it's a run play. He checks out of it, and it makes it a pass play, right? Yep. That's not where he's at yet. I want to see Kellen Moore do that with Justin Herbert, because then Justin Herbert can take more leadership of the entire offense. Of course, he is the leader now anyways, but my point is he can make that adjustment on the line. And I know Lombardi did a little bit with him last season, but I think the way Kellen Moore does it, it would make it easier for him to make that adjustment at the line. And it's aggressive to them, because if they're showing blitz, then they're going to be caught, and then we're going to have space, could be some big plays, right? So I'm just really hoping he does more audibling and controlling the offense. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that as well, too, guys? I know it's a little bit of a bounce around, but I wanted to throw that out there because I forgot until now.
And that's the one thing that you would really hope. It was interesting that, like, with Justin Herbert, and he's a young guy, remember? Like, he's very young still, and he's still learning things and doing it well. You would hope that Kellen Moore is going to give him, hey, look, if you see this, you could audible into this. You could do this or that. Like, you could make choices according to what you see at the line. And you would hope that you're going to do that. I mean, Kellen Moore is a quarterback, has played in the NFL, has played at a high level at Boise State. Like, the guy has done a good job and has done phenomenal with less talent than we currently have on this team, by the way. So this year he could have a massive, massive year. So my hopes is that, yes, Justin Herbert does find a way to really take the reins on this offense and really run it well. Like, I would love to be able to see a Peyton Manning kind of thing. And I remember Peyton Manning basically just kind of ran the offense. He was the system at that point. 100%. He basically was everything. It wasn't about whoever the offensive coordinator was. It was like he was the system. He figured it out. He wanted to do this, that, and everything, and ran everything. And I would love to see Justin Herbert do something like that. I mean, it would be massive to have a guy like that. So I don't know, Kyle, if you had any other questions or any comments on that.
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to, how things are going to work out, it's just, I have faith, that things are going to turn out really well with them. Like, I'm not really trying to be nitpicky on this one. I think we kind of talked quite a bit about Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert stuff. So we're pretty good. So
pretty cool, man. Yeah. I wanted to kind of bring up Aether's comment here. Oh, actually, you got Zach Benson right there. Let's do that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we'll hit the playoffs. Super Bowl, you never know, man. Like, you got to get hot at the right time. You got to stay healthy. And I think that's what's tough. That's, I mean, dude, we got to be peaking at the right time.
I will say, though, I think the chances of us missing the playoffs are very slim this year.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. So, like, I would say, like, going to the Super Bowl is the bigger miss. Picture. I think a bigger thing for me. Like, it's like, if more likely is that we don't win the Super Bowl, I guess, if you want to answer that question correctly, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we'll definitely make the playoffs, but will we win the Super Bowl?
Who knows? Who knows? You just need a ticket to the show so you can try to get to the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
That's it. It's the playoffs are such a crapshoot. I mean, even to say last year, like, I mean, I will probably have that memory burned in my mind till my grave of us just hanging out in downtown Phoenix, hanging out with the Bull Pride 602 guys, and like
hanging around.
The literal excitement. It reminded me of like Star Wars when Luke Skywalker was fighting the what was it? He was in the cave at Jabba the Hutt's. What is the name? Big monster guy, the Rancor.
Okay.
And all the guys are like sitting there watching seeing Luke Skywalker, and they're like, woo, like all excited and everything. And then it just became like a depressing situation when he took out the Rancor kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
And that's kind of like what it all felt like. We were just in there cheering. I was doing high fiving everybody running around. We were just like great times. And it got me thinking, even like, man, next week we're gonna probably play the Chiefs. Dude, love to have a revenge game. Like, we could have easily got to the AFC like championship game, in my opinion. We easily could have had that chance to get to that point, and it sucks. It sucks. Well, last year had great potential. Hopefully, and a lot of these players have been asked the question, hey, are you thinking about that Jaguar game? Mentally, they seem out of it. They're like, hey, that was last year. We're on to next year.
Let's drop it.
Don't worry about it. Move on. Kind of thing. So the hope is that it doesn't become a issue mentally at all.
But that hype that we experienced with her is minuscule in comparison to the guy who bet $1 million at halftime that we were going to win that game.
And that's what shifted the stupid game. Betting ruins the game, dude.
I think you're right.
Betting ruins the game. Dude.
Yep. Vegas probably called up and said, all right, you guys got to wet the bed the second half, man. What's going on here?
Yep.
Betting ruins the freaking game, dude. I mean, gosh, that was such a shift after that guy's bet. I hate that guy. Whoever he was. I don't like him.
So, James, here's your question from Aether.
Yep.
So take Chargers fans to school. We talked about the team structure. Everyone keeps saying we have a bad GM. He can't sign these players. Yes, if Spanos is willing to pay for the fee, but James, you go, my bro. So basically what he's talking about is salary cap. Some people are like, hey, let's go out and go sign DeAndre Hopkins. Now, once again, we have way too many wide receivers right now. Yeah, having a talent like that would be awesome, but we just can't do that. All right. Oh, Dalvin Cook. Yeah, the dude wants $10.4 million basically a season. We can't do that.
Nope.
Like, salary cap restricts a team, and it kind of evens out the playing field for all teams throughout the NFL versus like Major League Baseball, where there's luxury taxes, but you could spend as much as you dang want pretty much at that point. The NFL is structured differently. You only have a certain amount of money to spend, and that's what it is. And you have to just stay within your means. Yeah, you could pay above your salary cap, but you're basically going to get hit a lot of fees on doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Ain't going to do that. And I don't think many teams will ever do that, by the way.
Yeah, this is a good point about Kendricks. And Murray. Yeah, he's got to step up, man. And this is a good point by Marcus as well. Murray is a freak athlete. He really is. Yep. But again, there's a mental part of this game, and it hasn't clicked for him yet. And hopefully Kendricks will help him out. And Kendricks talked a little bit about that this last week as well too.
Well, I'll say this though about Murray. I mean, so just like Michael Davis, they both kind of struggled early on in their career because of some outside influences that were going on in their lives. Like I think, Michael Davis
talked about that.
He talked about that. Got some girl pregnant, whatever. That was like really causing a whole lot of stress for him and stuff like that. But then, Kenneth Murray is like I think his like brother died or something like that. It was like not just died, but was murdered or something like that. So it's like, that's gonna really throw you off your game every which way, 100%, so that's kind of where I kind of feel for them. Like, I mean, it sucks that happened and stuff like that, but I really, at the same time, like, you got to still show up for work sometimes, so
yeah.
Yep.
And you got to be a true professional on the field, right? And again, I think free agents for me, it would be a safety. Actually, we talked about Jalen Guyton briefly. I read this rumor that we would trade away Guyton to the Titans and get their safety Baird, I believe is his name, and for like a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick as well. And I'm like, I would take that in a heartbeat. We already got a wide receiver room that is just way overpacked right now, anyways. So ship Guyton out. That would suck for Guyton, but we would get an amazing safety back there with Derwin James because. Clearly, I don't think JT Woods is ready. I don't think Lowe is really the right guy either. I mean, I think Lowe is okay, but he's not. I don't think he's ready. I just don't. I mean, I don't know. We'll see, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Lowe is actually good. I think he turned it on in the second half of the season. I mean, I always go back to the play of when he batted that pass down from Tyreek Hill to start out the Miami Dolphin game.
Yeah.
I think he's there. I think he is going to be the dude. If you look at the run rate of the way the Chargers operate as a team, they generally have a lot of players waiting in the wings for a while. And then when it starts getting closer to the contract year, then they say, okay, well, we got to get this guy some time on the field. And I think Alohi is going to be able to do a phenomenal job. And I know there's a lot of talks about JT Woods too. I mean, JT Woods seems like he could be one of those guys that could get thrown out there and do something. Now, once again, they've even talked about his fundamentals. He's got the speed, but he can't tackle.
Yeah.
They got to figure that out still. But I think Alohi's solid. Now, if they go after John Johnson and whatnot, that makes sense because you feel a little bit more comfortable about it. You have a guy who's relatively more proven and everything too. So who knows? Who knows? But I mean, we do have a little bit of spending cash to go out there. It just depends on what John Johnson wants.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep, exactly. And Zach, that's a really good point, man. I mean, it's one of those situations where, you know, it affects you, man. I mean, you know, marriage problems. That's actually why I think a lot of times in the NFL too, they probably have marriage counseling. They probably have all these different things that are there for families, and because hey, you're an athlete, right? And you know, you have a different life than normal human beings like you and I, right? It's a different conversation for them. So it's a big situation. This is a good question by Marcus as well too. I think the medical team that Staley botched JT Jackson's situation. I don't disagree with you on that. It was kind of a weird, like, why did that happen right before the stinking season, man? Like, it just seems so strange to do that surgery. He was out, and then they rushed him back. Didn't work out. It just seemed really strange to me that the way they handled that. And we don't know all the details on it, but oh my gosh, like, what is going on? And you know, and if you notice, they were actually using him as, you know, JC Jackson. He was just on an island. He was, all right, you're up against one person. Just you lock that guy down. I know against the Seahawks, or the Seahawks, as we like to say, he was locked up against, what's that guy's name? Oh my God, they're number one.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, Metcalf. Yeah. He was just locked up on him the whole time. They were just chirping. Yeah, that's what he did, and he looked okay. He looked fine. So I think that's how they use him this season. They're just going to lock him up. You take that one guy.
And the whole thing about that JC Jackson situation, though, you got to even also see what came from that. Like, that whole last season about just medical team wise was an absolute mess. You know, like, that's why they changed a lot of our medical staff, training staff, and everything now too, because I think they needed a guy who could communicate better and be smarter about our players. So I think that's why we're shifting around quite a bit. So I'm going to throw this out here, Willie. So actually, personally, I'm going to segue into one of the other things that we wanted to chat about. Willie Bowen.
Yep.
I want to see more of us getting to the red zone as opposed to field goals. Yes, that killed us last year. And let's talk about that, actually.
Yeah.
So we already talked a little bit about Kellen Moore. I mean, I think we could talk about Kellen Moore at a nauseum level if you wanted to. We did a whole breakdown of, like, what was the Dallas offense in 2022 versus the Chargers offense 2023 by quarter. So we all know quarter 3 sucked for us in scoring touchdowns. Scoring in general.
There it is.
Was terrible. Like, so this is what I broke down what the Cowboys were quarter 1 through quarter 4 in scoring on average and where they were ranked, and also against the Chargers. So in quarter 1, Dallas Cowboys scored 5.1 points, number 7 in the league. Where was the Chargers? Number 18 at 3.9 points in quarter 1.
Oh yeah,
so that's awful.
I think we only scored one. I think we only scored 1 or 2 first quarter touchdowns, and only 1 touchdown was a opening play or opening drive touchdown or something like that. Score, yeah.
You as an offensive coordinator come in the game with 25 set plays, generally.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. If you can't execute to be able to have a good way to start out the game, like, you're doing something wrong, dude. Like, that's tough to watch. But Kellen Moore, 5.1 points, which if you look 5.1 points versus 3.9 points, you realize how many close games that we've had in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, that's a difference maker, right? When you go to quarter 2, this is where Chargers figure things out. I don't know what it is. Maybe they just drew up that, hey, let's just play quarter 1 as let's just stay in the game some type of level. Chargers were number 2 in the league at 11.3 points. wow, crazy. So you kind of screw it up in the quarter one, but then you figure it out in quarter two. But consistency matters, in my opinion. Dallas was number 9 in the league at 7.9 points. So still over the top 10 mark. Now, going back to quarter one, we weren't ranked very well. We know what quarter three was, right? Like, I could probably say there was like 4 touchdowns probably all year the Chargers scored in quarter three, probably very similar to that. So Dallas at quarter three, coming back after the half, number 5 in the league at 6.1 points per third quarter. Chargers were 29th in the league at 2.9 points. So your starting quarter, you suck. Your quarter three sucks. Like, and then quarter four, Chargers were 5.1 points in quarter four versus Dallas being number 3 in the league at 7.7 points per fourth quarter. Consistency matters.
Yep.
We were highly inconsistent all throughout every quarter last year. Yeah. That's what Kellen Moore is going to bring to us, is consistency. And plus, we already talked about it, the amount of talent for the Chargers versus the Cowboys is astronomical. Way more than the Dallas Cowboys ever had. So
yeah,
that's exciting, guys. Like, this could be one of those record-breaking type offenses potentially this year for the Chargers. Like, I can't wait to watch that all around. But thoughts on that, guys? I know I went on those stats and everything too.
Yeah, man. So that's 100% I was thinking about that a lot this week too. Is like, look, the fact is, the teams that win Super Bowls are the teams that can convert red zones. 1,000%. Yep. You know, not just field goals, whatever they have, but they got that 100%. You know, like not 100%, but above. I think 2 out of 3 times. You know, so 67% of the time they work every time. So
yeah.
So they convert those red zone situations into touchdowns, those 4-point plays essentially. And that was the one thing that, you know, that Joe Lombardi was terrible at, obviously, as we just talked about. You know, like, I mean, we can't score in the first quarter. We are absolutely abysmal in the third quarter, and then we couldn't close out games in the fourth quarter. It's like we were just like a second quarter team. Somehow something worked in the second quarter, but it's like, look, the game is an hour long. You got to play 60 minutes. You can't be playing just 30 minutes and call it a day. I mean, if the game ended at halftime for the Jags, then we would have won, obviously. But
it would have been a blowout.
Yeah. It would have been a blowout. Yeah. But you know, we can't. I don't know, man. Like I'm excited to see what Kellen Moore is going to do for us, because the Cowboys, you know, those are some great stats that the Cowboys were able to do. So if we can get that result, like, man, I'm jacked, baby.
Yeah, I think, and this is a good point, Pablo, right? You know, passing's awesome, but we also need to have the defense respect the run game. They did not respect our run game last season at all.
Right.
That was the other thing I was really thought about with, like, Joe Lombardi, is that he did a lot of gap schemes, and he just there was always a guard pulling. There's always something kind of, you know, this and that. And man, they didn't disguise anything well. Everyone knew what they were doing. And it was stupid, right? So at least with Kellen Moore, I think he's going to at least run an offense that's simple to run and easy to execute. I think that's really what they've talked about quite a bit. But yes, you're right. We need to be able to have, you know, extend drives, you know, and use Austin Eckler correctly, right? Use some of these folks, you know, better, right? So anyways, be really interesting to see.
And even to just say early on, from what you're hearing from off-season training camp and everything like that, just to go back to the question Willie basically said, or at least his comment that he said, they are doing very, very well in the red zone so far. I think it was 7 for 7 with East Stick. I think it was somewhere Max was very similar to that. This is before Justin Herbert was running basically the offense or back to camp. So I think that it's going to be a big, big difference. And once again, I'm a big fan of trying to get this team to be a 35-point per game type team. Outscore your opponent. Find our defense to be able to just do what they need to do to be able to find stops. I think that's what the Chiefs are pretty much, and they're built as high-powered offense with a defense that's just good enough to be able to get the job done.
Yeah. This is a good question by Willie too. Again, of course they are, but Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. The thing is, I think they're going to put people on a rotation. I think that's going to happen a lot more on the offensive defensive side of the ball. I think they're going to rotate players a lot. One guy deep, one guy short, and Allen will probably work the middle like he always does, the sort of midfield type of guy. But I think the deep threats will be Williams and Lightning Bug and Q, right? I think those are going to be the guys who are going to go a little further. And as far as like who's the number 3 wide receiver, I don't really see it that way. I just think it's really boils down to snaps. How many times are you on the field? Yeah. What are you doing? Because again, we have 6 good wide receivers, right? I mean, and Palmer, one thing that, when I interviewed him, he said, look, we all can eat. There's going to be plenty of snaps for all of us. So, and I think this man right here, Kellen Moore, will do a good job of distributing the ball, right? I think that's probably going to be one of the nice things about it as well, too. So I'm excited to see that. What's
funny to me is when we listed the wide receivers that we have on this team, I forgot about Davis. Like,
oh yeah, like I don't know why. Everyone, Darius Davis. Yeah, I mean, dude, he's lightning bug, dude. I'm telling you, that guy's going to be a stud.
Yep.
Yeah,
he's quick.
He's going to be a great gimmicky kind of guy for this team. Like, it's going to be awesome to see him out there. I can't wait, man. This is such a built team on the offensive side. I mean, it's 5 wide receiver sets. Is that possible? Can we do that? Can we?
Those are Hail Mary plays right there.
Yeah, but the thing is, they'll just put people on a rotation, right? I mean, you don't have to have them all out on the field, right? You have Allen, maybe Lightning Bug, and then Q, and then Williams takes a breather for a play or two. By the way, Palmer, I think Brandon Staley talked about him. He said pretty much everyone's there, but I think Palmer had some sort of injury, or he wasn't feeling well. Yeah. There was something like that. It's nothing concerning, right? We still have 5 more weeks before camp starts, but Palmer, I think, was there. Like, they even talked about Mike Williams. Oh yeah, when did you get here? He's been in the building the whole time working out. Yeah. He just hasn't been on the field throwing, or catching balls, right? So, and it was large because of his back, and they just said, all right, just take a breather. We don't need. I mean, there's not a whole lot you need to know, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. I have one other thought about the offense too, and I thought this was kind of interesting. And this is partially why I like Kellen Moore so much. And Austin Eckler talked about it, Herbert talked about it, and so did Williams. They all 3 talked. Actually, even Brandon Staley talked about it. Is that it's not all the plays are the same. They're not anything different. What's different is how you utilize those plays and how you make those plays work for your team. And all right, you're running this type of front, you're running, 2 high safety. Well, what's your plays to beat those coverages? What's your plays to get something explosive? And that's what he's good at as well too. So again, the same general plays,
right?
But his job is to put these players in the right position to win and win effectively. That's where Lombardi was bad. He was all about just, okay, beat the man in front of you. Well, okay. But Herbert, anyways, it was very remedial the way he handled it. At least Moore will make it make the play calling make sense and be more explosive in that regard.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. And see what it's all about. I don't know if you guys wanted to be able to chat just about one other thing. I know I put up one other, one thing I kind of brought up was talking a little bit about Brandon Staley and just kind of like the rumors that are going out there.
Yeah, let's do
that. Just talking about, some of his kind of, putting him on the hot seat per se. And, I have a hard time with this one because, I think to be honest, the fan base is kind of 50-50 on Brandon Staley. I'm a big fan of Brandon Staley. I think Brandon Staley is a very good coach. I think he's a very intelligent coach. Even if you talk with Eric Kendricks, he talks about how smart the guy is and how he'll bring up plays from Eric Kendricks' rookie year when he was on the Vikings and saying like, hey, that's what I want you to do basically in my defense. Like, I don't think there's, without a shadow of doubt, that this guy knows football. I look at it as Chargers need a consistency of head coaches. And we've had a lot of inconsistency of head coaches for our last 3 coaches. Brandon Staley has had a winning season every single year. Yep. Do you just want a good, solid product on field? A coach that can get you to potentially get to the playoffs and then some? I personally say, and I think Brandon Staley is that guy. Like, first year, 9-8, got it. We lost to the Raiders. One of the best games I've ever will see in my life, probably, until we win the Super Bowl. That will be the best game I've ever seen in my life. But then, like last season, the amount of injuries he went through. I mean, this team could have folded like a taco by that time. Like, but guess what? Brandon Staley found a way to be able to make this team work. He got some dudes off the street, fill some gaps through the defensive line, and made it work. And we got to the playoffs. Yes, I understand the outcome wasn't great, but at the same side, this is a first-time head coach. He's figuring things out. He's only in his third year, too. But he is a winning head coach, and that's what you want from a head coach. Yes, he'll make some stupid moves. I get it. All coaches do that. But I'm a big believer of Brandon Staley and what he's doing. I think he's creating a better culture for this team. I think all around just a better situation for Chargers as an organization. So I'm just throwing it out there. I thought it was just kind of an interesting thing throwing out there with Kevin Stefanski, Ron Rivera, Josh McDaniels. McCarthy is an interesting one because that one I think is going to be contingent if Kellen Moore lights it up this season, and then Mike McCarthy sucks for the Dallas Cowboys. So, but I don't know if you guys had any comments on that.
I mean, I'm 100% on board with Staley too, because like the truth is, I mean, you want a winning coach. I mean, you want the winning record, and like that's why the Patriots haven't let or not the Patriots, the Steelers have not let Mike Tomlin go, is because he's consistently winning. And you want a head coach that gives your team the best chance to make the playoffs every year, and Brandon Staley is doing that. And so he's giving us that chance to get there every single year, but we still got to win those playoff games. So, we still gotta get all the way. And honestly, like a lot of people can agree. I mean, I don't think this is not a very controversial statement, but the NFL is the hardest sport to win a championship in. And the fact is that like 31 teams are disappointed every single year. And so, and the bottom line is, it's like, look, Brandon Staley's doing everything he can to make this a winning organization. And like, we can see that because the moment he arrived, the culture changed. And so that's we haven't seen that in a long time here. Like, I think ever since maybe Marty Schottenheimer, like it's like the last time I saw like some kind of cultural shift, So I'm just excited for him. Like, I mean, yes, I can see him being on the hot seat because this is now his fourth year, I want to say.
Third year.
Right? Third year.
Third year.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people are kind of getting frustrated with him because it's like, well, we just got to see, man. It's like, we'll get there. Just, we got to be a little bit more patient. So
I think it's just kind of a funny comment by Aether. I think the one guy that I think will do, I mean, Super Bowl would love that for sure, but it's super hypothetical. I would say this: the one person I think that could be really good for us is Thule. I do think I worry about Bosa and Mack staying healthy, and Rumph has not shown a whole lot. But man, Thule. One thing that Khalil Mack said, I think it was like 3 weeks ago, he said, "Hey, he's got really heavy hands," and what you mean by that is like when he hits, he moves people, right? I don't know if you've seen his cone drills, and oh my gosh, like that guy is just strong. Just a brute. So I guess my point is I think he can have a very good season because I do believe he's one of those guys that really can be impactful, especially if we get it. I mean, please, no injuries. But, if we do have an injury, Bosa or Mack is out for a little while and Thule has to step in and be the guy, or they put him on a rotation. I still think we should rotate people in and out quite often, running play, passing plays, whatever. But I think they should still put those guys on rotations, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, it's interesting with that question Aether brought up about, expect to be the MVP if the Chargers win the Super Bowl and everything too. He put as QJ as his guy. Asante Samuel Jr. to me is one of those guys that has actually showed out for us in playoffs. I mean, what he did against the Jags, I mean, I could see Asante being the dude that gets a pick six to win the game or something like that for us. Yeah. So there's a lot of little things like that would be incredible. And I just cannot wait to see the Chargers win a Super Bowl and see it in my timeline of my life. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be super nice. Yeah, and Brian, like I think our run defense was so bad. We had so many stinking injuries up and down the line. I mean, we had to go get David Moa from the Falcons practice squad, dude. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And he played quite a bit, and so, I mean, come on now. Like, man. Tito was looking good. By the way, Austin Johnson looked really good when he was playing.
Really good.
Right? And then
really
he got
good.
hurt. And I was like, damn, man, if that guy had just stayed healthy, it would have been so much better. And again, you're right. He had to stitch it together last year, too. It was pretty bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's I think people need to be less hard on Brandon Staley, in my opinion. I think he's doing very good things right now. I think he's doing phenomenal things with this team all around. So, and really, I think this year could be a whole new height for this team.
And on top of that, he's getting the Standouts to spend money, right?
Yeah.
The Standouts never spent money.
No, they don't.
And so, that alone has a ton of value, right? Because, what does he say in the mask? Gotta have some green to make a scene, right? You don't spend money, you're not going to be a relevant team, so that's pretty huge. Well, why don't we wrap up here? I know that's about that time too as well. I know maybe Kyle, you want to go first, James, and then I can wrap up. And then who's going to hit the button, by the way?
Kyle. Big red button. I'll press it.
Kyle.
Yeah, I'll press it. Yeah. So when it comes to, the minicamp was great, honestly. After all the OTAs and stuff like that, we saw a lot of cool things happen. Quentin Johnston, he's gonna shut up a lot of the people about being worried about how the fact that he was catching with his body. We clearly saw early on that he was catching with his hands, and I think a lot of the reason why he was catching with his body, to be honest, was because of Max Dugan's throws were kind of positioned that way. Herbert looking like fire as always. It's his arm motion is different, and I think that's going to be a huge help. We talked about how many balls he got batted, and that's going to be pretty good to see that little shift. Like James was saying, there's no way that someone who's 6'6" should have any balls batted. Yeah. But I'm excited to see it. Look, Kellen Moore he's changing our offense, and if everything works out the way it's supposed to work out, every team's gonna fear us, and that's gonna be a thing. And that's one thing that Aether was saying. He and I were chatting about, and in my long video that I'm sure nobody really watched about, for predicting the entire NFL leagues records. He really thinks that we'll lose our first game to Green Bay, which is week 10 or something like that. We can go undefeated all the way up to that point. And I'm like, it's very possible. Hey, so I'm excited. Like I said, we have every reason to still be excited about this team because it's the exact same as it was with a little bit of change from last year. So it's gonna be good, bros. It's gonna be a good season.
Yeah. I think Green Bay is going to be horrible next year. Just saying. Yeah. Go ahead, James.
I was going to bring Ether kind of brought up kind of an interesting point. He said week 1 headline. I can't talk today. Yeah. Bolts offense struggling. Chargers defense closed the game out. Bolts survived 24-20. Think about what happened last year. Same thing. It was kind of week 1 always has jitters. You always have jitters all the time. And that's the one thing that you're probably going to have a little bit of a slower out the gate kind of situation with this team. Miami already has the same guys on that they've had last year, not a change of offensive coordinator, same head coach. They also do have a very good defensive coordinator too, by the way. So they've added a little bit more firepower. So I could see something like that happen. But basically the one thing I'm going to say about this is that trust the process. Trust this team of what it's happening and what they're doing. What Brandon Staley's building, what Kellen Moore's bringing to this team, what Tom Telesco is doing with this team. Trust the process. I'm excited about this season. I feel almost some way or another a little bit more excited about this season versus last season. Yeah. Just because I think we have a little bit extra firepower to overpower other teams now. And I think we got a little bit better coaching staff and organization than last year. So that's just my thoughts. I'm excited about it. Let's go.
I agree, Larry. I don't see Green Bay doing much of anything this next year. So I'll give you my final thoughts. I know, look. Oh, by the way, James and I and Kyle, we've been talking about. We want to do a video on offense and defense. So I want to say 5 things we need to do on the offense and the 5 things we need to do on defense. Would you guys like to see that video? Give us some thoughts on that that we need to change to go to the Super Bowl next year, because I want to break that down. So you guys think that's a good video idea? I want to do defense and offense separately because I think they're completely 2 separate things. But would you like to see us do a video on both of those? Let us know in the the chat. But my general thoughts is this, guys. I honestly think it's exciting. Now, we're not going to get a whole lot of news at all because we got 5 weeks for pretty much nothing. Yeah. But secondarily, I will say this: when we start talking about free agents will start signing now because they don't want to go to OTAs. They don't want to go to training camp. They don't want to go to mini camp. They want to go to camp, and camp is going to be in 5 weeks. So this is where John Johnson could get signed. This is where, all the free agents that are out there, some of the edge rushers and such, Dalvin Cook and whoever. Wow, so that's where I think we could actually start seeing some signings. So we'll, of course, report the news once it, hits and drops. That's obviously what we do here. But look, bottom line, folks, I think our team is great. All we have to do is stay healthy. And for whatever damn reason, we just cannot seem to stay healthy. So my prediction is if we stay healthy this year, but I think we do more of a rotation. And I think that's one of the things that is definitely going to happen with our new head training group. And also, I do think Brandon Staley's learned a little bit more about that. Look, I think it's going to be great. Yeah, and you're right. I think our boy Kellen is going to be huge. He's at least going to make it easier for Justin Herbert and this offense to be consistently successful. That's the difference. That's the big difference that I want to say. So, yeah.
Yep. I agree.
Yep.
Man, good show, guys. Good show, and man, I can't wait for the season all around, guys. It's just exciting to be able to think it's just around the corner. Hopefully we get some good news. Hopefully we get some things to talk about. But I think it's about prepping for 2023 at this point.
For sure.
Who we got on this team. So I'm ready. Let's go. Let's get it.
Yeah. So it's going to be good. The season starts for us in July, the end of July, so about 25th of the, that's going to be a great time. It's going to be good times.
Can't wait.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Well, let's get it, boys. Let's get out of here. Once again, happy Father's Day to everybody out there.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. All the support, loves, like, subscribe, sub. Appreciate all the support, guys. So we are the Bolt Bros, and let's get out of here. Bolt Bros.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.